Um, okay, all right. So today, what we will be doing is uh, using this specialized transports available. If you have to do hookup services, in OSB, with SOA or with, or call server, from SOA, call services, in OSB, then either way, we should be able to do it. Okay, and we have specialized transfers, just designed for that purpose. Okay, OSB provides the SOA direct transport, right, that can be used to invoke Oracle SOA Suite service components, like such as BPL process, human tasks, rules, or Oracle mediator components. Okay, and of course, since this would be like a native invocation, right? So it would be like RMI based invocation, and so hence it is also like optimized for this special case, right? For what we are doing, and then basing on some of the correlation scenarios, this and that, those kind of things are taken care by WS addressing, and then transactions are fully supported during these calls, and of course, high availability and failover is also available. So these are some of the benefits of doing this. Now, where to use and when to use. Again, these are like the design time choices, right? Of course, when you are using it because that makes it a native call, and so it is not it is like directly hooking up these two things directly, right? But then and again it is like coupling them, little closely, but then you get a huge performance boost. So sometimes, let's say the SOA service is not, let's say, a enterprise level service, but it's a directly domain, this type of service, and if one can call directly, then because it's not an enterprise level service and not many clients are using that, then of course, it can be called with SOA direct and get all the benefits that we are seeing here. Okay, uh, and this is actually done, of course, through this SOA direct framework, in the sense, like SOA, like yeah, when you design a SCA application, SCA composite, right? So you have various components within that composite, and then all the surround, and then that composite, the way we uh, then we create these binding components so that this composite can be invoked in many which ways, right? So in whichever way we want this composite to be invoked, we create such binding components. So now let's say if you have a composite, and if you want that to be invoked in a native way, then you will use a direct binding, and on the exposed services line, right? You will use that. And the other thing is you can provide multiple bindings, to the component at the same time, right? So which would be, let's say you are exposing it as a SOAP, and then also you want to expose it as a direct binder. You can expose both the bindings at the same time. Okay, and so this is true for if it is the physical component or the media, whichever component, which is the initial servicing component of this of the composite. They can be invoked and accessed in a native way using these transports. Uh, so again, service account again is like that JNDI account, right, that we created. This is again the same as something similar. So now let's say in my domain that I have been showing you, both the SOA and OSB infrastructure are installed on the same domain. In fact, they are installed on the same server, right? So in this case, there is no revalidation or authentication needed. But when they are like in separate domain, let's say, so you have SOA server running in a completely separate domain, and the OSB server is running in a separate domain, right? In those cases, you will have to create something called a service account, and then this account will be used for validating each other. So that's the SOA direct transfer. So this is like going from OSB to SOA, right? So you are invoking a SCA service directly in a SOA suite infrastructure. Then so here you have two kinds of varieties. One is like invoking a synchronous service, and then invoking a asynchronous type of service. Okay, so first let's go ahead and do this. Create a generic application, and let's call it OSB. Well, OSB form. And project here, since we are doing OSB to SOA sync, OSB to SOA sync, and then I'm picking the SOA binding component, and then next, and to composite. So as a simple this, just drag a simple vector synchronous and expose it as a hello service So we can leave this hello thing as is, the default what we get. Now this is of course a SOAP based binding, right? Now in order to expose this, since we will be calling natively, we will be using this direct binding, right? So you will drag it onto the exposed services, and then give it okay. Now for the WSDL, we will be just using the existing WSDL, the port. Okay. So once this is done, you can drag and drop it like that. And a word of caution, actually I have seen the UI behaving a little erroneously sometimes, basing on how maybe that issue has been fixed or addressed in the latest releases. Sometimes what happens is when you are dragging from here to here, it may be working fine, but when you just connect from here to there, from Vipel, this Vipel into this binding component, sometimes creating a service. And see, if you noticed, I directly dropped on this binding, okay, versus if I drop it here. So some combination is creating some issues, okay, but not necessarily it is any infrastructure related, but just some buggy technical issues. That's it. Okay, so here we have created this binding. Okay, now let's go to OSB and quickly create new project. Let's call the OSB So